How's it going, everybody? It's Spotify. We are back with another FPL video, and today it is Game Week 4 lineup preview, where we take a look at what transfers potentially I've made. I had two going into this week, so we'll see what potential transfers I may have made early or still am debating on, as well as how the team did last week and what the team is looking like going into this week. If you haven't done so already, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe channel if you are new, and turn those notification bells on so that you can get the content as soon as it's readily available. Also, drop us a follow over on Twitter so you can keep up to date with any FPL news, and give us a follow over on Twitch so you can join us live for our preview, deadline, and any impromptu FPL streams. Our next one will be tomorrow, just in about 8 or so hours time from the time that you see this video, probably less than that actually. There'll be a pinned comment down below to let you know the details on that. It's going to be for our deadline stream for Game Week 4. We'll be up 1 hour before the FPL deadline and be taking all of your questions in the chat, as well as finalizing our team and looking at some of the stuff from Fantasy Football Scout. So, without further ado, let's see how the team did in Game Week 3. So, another green arrow. That's 2 on the spin, apart from Game Week 1, where technically everyone got a red arrow if everyone started in first place. But 53 points, I'm pretty happy with that. Salah came through with a goal, and United won, which is fantastic because my captain got a return, and my team won, which is great. So the rest of the team, not so much, to be honest. We rolled a transfer in this week as well. Trent and Robertson, just 1 point between them. James and Cancelo, the same. Perisic's coming up with a huge 12 points. Ramsdale with the clean sheet. Martinelli getting another return. Unfortunately, we played De Silva over Andreas. That was a last-minute swap over on the deadline stream. Maybe I should have stuck with Pereira. But I just had a good feeling about Brentford, and ultimately, they didn't come through. And then also Erling Haaland getting himself on the score sheet as well, although he didn't collect any bonus points. I think Gabriel Jesus owners and captainers were unlucky as well. Got himself booked in just this single assist. Could have had much, much more, but again, got a very good captaincy option in Salah, getting the most points out of the three between him and Jesus and Haaland. So that was good. We got a captaincy shout solid there again, and hopefully to do the same this week, because we got a whole bunch of home fixtures, which we'll see which one we're going to be captaining towards the end of the video. But first, let's see how our defense is looking going into Game Week 4, and there might be a new face in there. So we have a squad value of 100.8 million with just 0.3 million in the bank. And we had 2 free transfers, but we've used both of them. We have all our chips available. And as you can see, one of the players that we transferred in was actually Kieran Trippier. And you're probably thinking, why did you get rid of Trippier? You know, why'd you bring in Trippier for Robertson? And to be honest, I like Trippier's fixtures a lot. I think he's also quite dangerous. He also goes up against Liverpool, who seem to be leaking goals. Potentially could get a set piece or two, because it seems like Liverpool's just all over the place as well. Wolves don't typically score very many goals either. So I think Trippier's clean sheet potential is on the cards. I expect Bournemouth to score this week, even though they are away from home and arguably the worst team in the Premier League at the moment. But it was also to facilitate another move as well, which we'll see come the midfielders. So we'll have to take a look at that. But I do like Trippier. I do like his run of fixtures. I like his value at the moment. I got him in before he went up as well, so we made some value on him there as well. Trent, we're going to keep longer term. His stats have been better than Robertson's have, so we definitely kept him over Robertson, even though I thought that Robertson was picking up much better positions, just nobody was finding him. Reece James, we're not going to get rid of him. Just doesn't make sense. I also didn't think that the double up for Chelsea was warranted. We'll take a look at that when we go to kind of the tinkering phase and kind of show you what my thoughts were as potential transfers. Perisic coming off his 12 pointers, going nowhere. I expect him to start this week as well. And same for João Cancelo, who has a solid fixture at home to Crystal Palace this week. Ramsdale doing well. He's in his run of fixtures where he should be getting clean sheets. I expect another one this week as well. Now, let's move on to the second new transfer and the midfielders. Now, some familiar faces in the midfield. Again, Salah holds the captaincy. We'll talk about that a little bit when we see the full team. Martinelli is going to be an ever-present as well. 3 returns in 3, doing absolutely wonderful. I think he's the most risen in price player in FPL at the moment. Salah's going to be a very close call between him and one other, in my opinion. We'll talk about more about that on the deadline stream as well when we look at some of the data. But the newly brought in midfielder is Ilkay Gundogan, and the reason being is because I think that when he plays and Holland play, the Man City just looked really, really good. Holland attracts a lot of the space. We saw it for Bernardo Silva's goal. We saw it for Ilkay Gundogan's goal. They just attract no one, basically. Holland gets all the attraction, and they just kind of get in behind and are able to get in these spaces where they're able to put the ball in the back of the net. So I really like Gundogan for this game week as well as the game weeks going forward. I really want a triple City. Ideally, I would have De Bruyne, but I think Salah's the better premium. The probably more, kind of consistent goal scoring premium. It just seems like even when Liverpool's playing bad, Salah still does well. I mean, let's not, kid ourselves here. Liverpool are playing bad. Salah's not playing great, and he's still got 2 goals and an assist across 3 games, which is pretty good. So when he does hit fire, and when the team at Liverpool catch fire as well, they could easily, score 3-4 goals in a game. And I think that probably starts with Bournemouth. Doesn't mean that I'm kind of regretting getting rid of Robertson a little bit. Yep, but somebody kind of had to go. I did want to get rid of Perisic because I think he's going to start versus Forest as well. And I think there's a clean sheet on for him there as well, and potential attacking returns. So I can always downgrade him at a later date to somebody else and maybe shift Gundogan up to Diaz or Jota in the forward line if I really, really have to. That's just something I need to wait and see. Maybe Nunez is potentially the one to go for, assuming he doesn't come back with a full head of steam and getting himself sent off again. So hopefully that isn't the case. But I think that could be the ideal, with Nunez, Salah, and Trent being the 3 Liverpool players that I would want on a consistent basis. Because Salah's stats, attacking-wise, have gone down, except for his creativity, which is interesting, which would probably play into Nunez's hands, I would think. So, yeah, those are the 2 transfers. You probably can guess who the 2 forward men are, but let's take a look at the team in full. So to round out the team, like most teams, we got Jesus and Holland in the front line. Currently, Jesus has the vice captaincy. We'll talk about that in just a second. We do have the bench with Ward, Andreas Pereira, De Silva, and Archer on the bench here. I like Andreas over De Silva just because I think Arsenal may open up just a little bit, and I think Fulham might be able to get something. So if Andreas Pereira is the one to come on, I would like him over De Silva. Personally, I think De Silva is just playing a lot deeper, especially in the last game, and he seems to be just getting more kind of long-range efforts, whereas Pereira is definitely getting involved. I think he got just the assist and managed to collect himself 3 bonus points, which was very, very interesting in a game with a lot of goals. But currently, the captaincy is on Salah, the vice captaincy on Jesus. So I'm kind of torn between the 2, to be honest. I think it's just kind of play it simple, all things considered. Salah at home to a team that's newly promoted. I expect him to do well. I expect Liverpool to bounce back. Only having 2 Liverpool players, I think I need to put the captaincy on him to kind of, not necessarily cover that, but kind of balance things out. Because if I go Captain Jesus, then I'm looking for Arsenal to really smash Fulham, and I'll effectively have 4 players in that game. I think it's probably better to balance things out to whereas I have like 3 players in a sense, because you have Salah, the armband on Salah, and then Trent. A lot of managers will have Diaz or Robertson in there. I predicted that Liverpool would win 3-1 over Bournemouth. I don't expect a clean sheet, but hopefully Trent can get some attacking returns, although a lot of managers do have them, so it's not going to be the rank rise. But my differentials this week is still probably going to be Perisic for the most part. Trippier, who I think could keep a clean sheet versus Wolves, even though they are away from home. And then Gundogan, I think, could be the difference maker this week. Zaha looks to potentially be out, which definitely boasts for some clean sheet returns for any of those on double City defense as well. So that could be quite useful for those that have like Cancelo and Walker, Cancelo and Ederson, or any combination of the 3, or even Diaz as an example. But I think Gundogan, City are going to maintain a lot of the ball. Their counter-attacking threat isn't there with Zaha, which means Gundogan can probably play and just make runs, and they can just control the game on the halfway line, because literally Zaha is their threat on the break. I'm not sure if Elise is fully fit. He would probably be the substitute, as it were, and it would be down João Cancelo's side. But I just think, I'm not sure if he's going to start. I think they'll probably put like Jordan Ayew or something like that in the game. Or maybe they'll go long and try to see if they can hold something up with Mateta and then have runners off of him. But We'll have to see how it goes. I think Gundogan's been playing well. If he gets benched, he gets benched. It's just a bit unfortunate. There are midweek games coming. He only played, I believe, like less than 30 minutes in the friendly that they played versus Barcelona. So I have, kind of expectations that he will start and get a decent chunk of minutes and do well, because I think that City are going to have a lot of movement in and around the box, because Crystal Palace are going to sit back a little bit, and I think Holland's going to take up most of the attraction between Gay and Anderson, which means the likes of Gundogan or Bernardo Silva or Foden. These sorts of runners will cause problems, but I like Gundogan's prospects because he's really, really good at finding those late runs into the box. Now, with that being said, let's go to the tinkering screen so we can see what my kind of ideas were with the transfers that I did have before I made them. So this is what my team looked like before I made the transfers. I had 0.5 million in the bank. There's going to be some random like 0.1s or that sort of stuff where the bank's probably not going to agree with my transfers, but I would have done them beforehand, or I would have made slight changes. But basically what I wanted to do is one of two things. One, I was either going to play it really, really safe and just do something like Archer to, I think his name's Stansfield. He played out on the left-hand side temporarily because Cabano is currently injured for Fulham, so he's just playing that kind of role there. And then roll and then get some more information on Europe. But I just thought I can't, Neto looks like he was going to go down again. Robertson, Liverpool's just defense I just didn't like at all. So to be honest with you, I was like, I'm going to see if I can attack it. And that's what we went and did. Now it was just depending on what we were going to attack with. Neto was in the team. I was thinking we had to boost Neto up to somebody. And that somebody would have depended on who we got rid of. So we were going to get rid of either Robertson or probably Perisic. Perisic didn't make much sense. Robertson did, and he also alleviated more funds. So we could have gone for the likes of Walker if we really wanted to, if we didn't want Gundogan. Walker at the time, I believe, was 5 million. He wasn't 5.1, which means we could have sold Neto for someone up to 7.8 million. We would have been just short of Saka. We would have had to wait longer anyway. We could have also potentially taken a -4 if we wanted to as well. The other alternative, if we wanted to go a 5 million defender, was Cucurella, but Saliba was another one in my considerations. Could have gone with him, kept Neto in the team, because as you can see, we have too many from Arsenal, and we could have changed out our goalkeeper and gone for Ederson in goal. It would have still meant that we had some funds to potentially get another midfielder of a decent price point, somewhere in the 7.5 million. If we hadn't have gone Ederson and gone somebody else, let's say we had gone for Raya as an example, we could have taken out Neto and gone for somebody in the 8 million bracket. If we felt that Diaz was more appealing, or if we felt that, Phil Foden, Gundogan is still an option there. Kulusevski is another one that's still looking quite good. These were kind of options that I was looking for, but the main thing was that I just didn't want to hemorrhage basically any more of the value basically that I was losing. Robertson was going down. He did go down, and which is kind of annoying. I wish they would change the prices, to be honest. Whereas during the game, if there's still games left to be played in the game week, there should be no price changes. That's how I think it should be. So yeah, it's a bit annoying there. Neto, we got rid of. We brought in. We could have brought in like Diaz as an example, and had we done that, we would have had to get rid of Robertson, and we could have brought in Saliba if we didn't have Ramsdale. But we probably would have brought in a different 4.5 million defender. Maybe like a Lewis Dunk from Brighton or something like that would have been applicable. I don't think it would have necessarily been the greatest. We could have also potentially got Doherty if we had waited long enough. We could have potentially got him, because he would have gone down to 4. I think he's down to 4.8, 4.7. So it would have been close. If we had gone for maybe Saka as an example and gotten rid of Ramsdale from -4. Just didn't really want to take the hit though. So we did end up going for Gundogan, who we got before the price rise, and Robertson for Kieran Trippier, who we also got before the price rise, and we also got Neto out before his second price drop. And if you look at the predicted points here, it's predicting, at least on FPL.team, I don't know what they use to calculate that algorithm, but it's predicting that we're going to get 1 point less than had we made no transfers. But to me personally, I think Newcastle are looking better. They're playing against a team that doesn't really look like scoring goals. Watch, Neto is probably going to score that I brought in a defender to play against him and I just got rid of him. That's probably bound to happen. But I really like the prospects of Gundogan. And I also think that we have 0.3 million in the bank. He's currently 7.6. At the moment, we sell him for 7.5. If we need to downgrade Perisic to somebody cheaper, he's easily put up to an 8 million midfielder. Or even if we downgrade Ramsdale and we wanted to go for Diaz or somebody like that, we can do that as well. We can also easily swap out Gundogan. Let's say we wanted Nunez as an example. I think he's got like a... Oh, he's under Darwin. That's right. We would have to drop Gundogan down to a much cheaper midfielder. We would have to go for... I don't even know any... What is it? Andre Gomez is like 4.4 or something. But if we went for him, then we'd have to downgrade somebody even further. Nunez would come in for Andre Gomez. And then we would get rid of Perisic and we could bring in Nico Williams, which would be actually fairly close. But that would be for -4 if we wanted to do something like that later on when the fixtures are potentially going to be a bit tight. The only issue with that would be is that we have to potentially play one of these cheaper midfielders. So I don't really like doing that sort of surgery where it just seems suboptimal unless we have our wild card active. So, and we're probably going to play that in the international break, possibly. Maybe just before it. We'll have to wait and see. But let me just think down in the comments below. Did you like my transfers? I'll show them up on the screen one more time. It was, we had Neto in the team. He came out. We brought in Gundogan. And we had to sacrifice somebody. And unfortunately, that somebody was... not Robertson. Well, it was Robertson, but that wasn't the player that I brought in. It was Kieran Trippier. I couldn't have done Perisic, and nor did I want to. But yeah, those are the transfers. And the predicted points is only 1 point less. I think potentially I could be up on the deal here because I don't think Neto... he'll be very lucky to get something versus Newcastle, the way that they're playing at the moment. Even the Newcastle are away from home. I think Gundogan is good for a few fixtures, personally. The 2 home fixtures, I don't... Depending on who they play in the Champions League, I know that they have... I think it's Sevilla and Dortmund are the 2 teams in the Champions League that are, like, tough. If they get their easier team, which I can't remember who it was. I just know the most notable were Sevilla and Dortmund. Gundogan might not play in that. You know Haaland's going to play in the Dortmund game if it's right off the bat. Because, you know, playing against his whole club. Which there's actually quite a few storylines like that in the Champions League. But more on that later, potentially, when there's rotation. But I really like Gundogan for this week. And I like him for... next week as well. I don't expect him to play in the Champions League. Quite often, he actually played a lot in the league, which is kind of weird, at least from what I remember from last season, and especially the season before when he was really popping off and getting just goal after goal after goal. And they seem to play more of a energetic midfield in the Champions League and kind of just outwork teams and just slow them down by just constant possession. Whereas in the Premier League, it doesn't do that. Isn't that as effective because the pace of the Premier League is a lot of teams are kind of adjusted to it, so they have to be a bit more crafty, which is where Gundogan comes in play. But that's enough of me talking. Let me just think down in the comments below, what transfers have you made this week going into Game Week 4? Welcome to the Fantasy Football Scout members area, the one place that you need to be tuned into for the upcoming FPL season. It has a wide variety of resources and tools that will help improve your FPL game today. It has a bunch of different members-only articles written by some of the best FPL managers across the globe, heat maps for all the players and positions, as well as player comparison tools, which will help you see side by side who is going to be more effective for your FPL team, fully customizable stats tables powered by Opta stats, and much more. use the link down in the description below so that you can get access to the Fantasy Football Scout members area today. It'll help improve your FPL game. This video has been sponsored by Manscaped, the best in male below-the-waist grooming. Make sure to check out manscaped.com so you can see the latest and greatest updates to their lawnmower, as well as their performance package, and much, much more for all their gadgets and gizmos to help keep your family jewels looking as shiny as ever. Make sure to use the code FLAME20 so that you can get 20% off your next Manscaped order, as well as free worldwide shipping. Go check out manscaped.com today. And that is going to do it for our Game Week 4 lineup preview. If you haven't done so already, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you are new, and turn those notification bells on so that you can get the content as soon as it's readily available. Also, drop us a follow over on Twitter so that you can keep up to date with any and all FPL news, and give us a follow over on Twitch so you can join us live for our preview and deadline streams for this FPL season. We will be doing a deadline stream tomorrow, and we'll be up 1 hour before the FPL deadline to take your questions in the chat, as well as finalizing our team for Game Week 4. And lastly, make sure to check out the Fantasy Football Scout members area. The link is down in the description below. I think that you can still get Fantasy Football Scouts. Actually, it might have expired by now, but you can still get a great deal for Fantasy Football Scouts membership area down in the description below using the link there. And you get access to all the different stats and stuff, which you'll see a preview on tomorrow's deadline stream, so you don't want to miss that as well. Thank you all for watching, and until the next one, take care.